Welcome to the Oracle Business Intelligence Lifecycle series. In this episode, we're going to talk about installing Oracle Business Intelligence. There are 4 topics that we're going to cover before we actually get into a demo of the installation of Oracle Business Intelligence. There are some prerequisites that need to be in place before you do the install. Next, we'll look at where do you get the software from? Where do you actually download the software? Next, there are some pre-installation tasks that need to be carried out on the server, and then a number of install options that we'll go through so that you can choose the right install option for your needs. In terms of the prerequisites, you're going to need a server machine. We're looking at about 20 gigabyte of hard disk space at a minimum, and in terms of RAM, around 8 gigabytes minimum. Obviously, the more disk space and RAM that you have, the better. You're also going to need access to a database where 2 schemas will be installed. Now, these are going to support the Oracle Business Intelligence installation. And when you see the demo later on, we have a utility called the Repository Creation Utility that creates those schemas. In terms of downloading the software, Oracle has a website called edelivery.oracle.com. When you log into eDelivery, there are a number of options where you can search for the software that you're looking for. In this case, we're looking for the Oracle Business Intelligence software for the Linux x86 64-bit platform. In terms of downloading the software, here are the 2 components that you need to download. Now, this is for a particular version, in this case 11.1170. We've got the RCU component and the multiple download files for the Business Intelligence distribution as well. Now, before you install Oracle Business Intelligence, there are some prerequisites that you need to get in place. The first one is to unzip the files. And a quick tip for you, when unzipping multiple zip files, use the command in Linux, for example, unzip quote star.zip end quote, and that will unzip multiple files in one go. The next thing to consider is, how will your business intelligence system be used? If you're looking at doing a trial of business intelligence, you won't want to do the enterprise install type, for example. You could use the simple install type. In addition, you need to have your database available. As we saw earlier, there are a number of databases that are supported, but you must ensure that you have sysdba level of access to that database. So this may be a task that you would carry out in conjunction with one of your DBAs within your organization. Now, before we get into the demo of installing Oracle Business Intelligence, there are 3 types of install option. The simple install, that will be used if you're doing a trial of business intelligence and will take up the smallest amount of RAM when it's running. The enterprise install type, which is the most typical install type, that gives you greater flexibility in terms of the options that you are presented with when running through the install. And then finally, something that we call a software-only install type. Now, that is used in some cases and essentially only copies the files over onto the disk space. It doesn't actually perform the configuration or create the actual business intelligence instance. So that's kind of more of an advanced option. Okay, so we're going to now install Oracle Business Intelligence. As you can see from the desktop, we've already downloaded the software, as we described earlier from Oracle eDelivery. We have 2 directories that we've created, one for RCU, which is our Repository Creation Utility, and the second one for our Oracle BIEE Enterprise Edition install files themselves. Our target directory, or our middleware home, in this case, has been created, and as you can see, it's empty. So the first thing that we need to do is to create the RCU schemas. So we've unzipped the file, and I'm going to look for the RCU executable. If I scroll down, I'm looking for a file that says RCU. We're doing this installation on a Linux system, and it will be a similar process on a Windows system as well. I can double click on the RCU file, and then I choose Run, so that it will run the RCU executable itself. I get my introduction screen, then I can click Next. Now here I've got an option to create or drop any existing schemas. In this particular case, we're going to use the Create option. It's useful to be able to drop schemas if you're deinstalling a system, or if you encounter any issues when installing Oracle BI and going through the RCU process. You can then drop those schemas and recreate them afresh. Now I'm prompted for the connection information for my database. In this particular case, we're using an Oracle database, and I need to put in my connection information. So I put in my host name. And that's in the form of the full host name there. Then the port that my database is listening on. And then, in this case, the service name. Now, if you remember, in our prerequisites, we said that you would need to have sysdba privileges in order to use the RCU utility. And in this case, I'm going to log in as the sys user, enter in the password, and connect as the sysdba role. Select Next, and it will connect to the database and make sure that that connection is sound. So it's checking the prerequisites on the database, and everything's shown up as green. So we can then go to the next step. The next stage in our repository creation utility process is to select a prefix. In this particular case, I'm going to use the prefix OU, and we choose Oracle Business Intelligence as the component that we're going to do the installation of those schemas for. And as you can see on the screen, it's now showing me two schemas that it's going to create: OU_BI platform and OU_MDS. And they're the two schemas that are created within your database, which you're targeting for the RCU supporting schemas. Moving on, it checks again some more prerequisites for those schema creation, and I'm then prompted for a password. In this case, I'm going to use the same password for all schemas, but if you wish, or your corporate standards mean that you need to have different passwords, then that's also possible to do using the RCU utility. At this screen, I can choose what table spaces. Now, RCU can actually create the table spaces for me, or if you already have some table spaces that have already been created, for example, by your system DBA, then those can be selected at this stage as well. I'm going to, in this case, use the default table spaces, and I'm going to let the RCU utility create those for me. It then asks me to confirm that any existing table spaces will be created. Now it's going off to create those table spaces for me, and I can confirm I'm okay with that. The last step in using RCU is that it will give me a confirmation of all the information that I've put into the system, and then I can finally hit the create button, and it will go ahead and create those schemas for me. Okay, so RCU has gone off, created those schemas for me, and it's now presenting me with a summary of the actions that that utility took. So it's telling me that for the database connection port and user that I selected, it's now successfully created both the metadata or MDS schema and the business intelligence platform schema. So I can now close that RCU utility. So that's stage one of doing an install completed. The next stage is to actually install the Oracle Business Intelligence software itself. For that, we go to our location where we downloaded the files, and I've already unzipped those files. Remember the tip that we spoke about earlier, where if you wish to unzip multiple files, you can use the command unzip space single quote asterisk dot zip end quote, and that will unzip all the multiple zip files that consist of the Oracle Business Intelligence install set. When you unzip the files, you can see that you get, in this case, 5 disks under a directory called BI ship home. If I open up disk 1, I will be able to run the installer by clicking on that run installer script. Now, the first thing that will happen if you're installing Oracle Business Intelligence onto a machine which has no other Oracle software on it, the first thing that you will see is that you are prompted to provide a directory or an Aura inventory directory. It's a fairly straightforward process, and I'm going to just change some of the details of where I'd like that Aura inventory directory to reside. In this case, on a directory space called Scratch. And if I hit OK, it will then prompt me to run some scripts that I need to run with sudo privileges. Now, the Aura inventory utility has already created those scripts, and we can see the location here where those scripts reside. Scratch, mdarren, Aura inventory, create central inventory. And what that will do is actually create, as the name suggests, a central inventory for all Oracle software that is installed on that machine. So if I go to my terminal prompt and navigate to that particular directory, I can see that that script has been created for me by the utility. Then I can run that, and it then confirms the operations have now taken place. And remember, when you run that script, when creating the central inventory on Linux, for example, you would need to do that either as some sort of super user. For example, in this case, I've used sudo to be able to change to that super user. So I can now say, okay, I've created that central inventory, and the Oracle Universal Installer itself now starts up, and this will enable us to do the installation of Oracle Business Intelligence. So in this case, we're installing Oracle Business Intelligence 11G, version 11.1170. So this is my introduction screen, just to confirm that information. In this case, I'm going to skip any software updates. And if you recall back to earlier in this presentation, we said there were 3 different types of install. The simple install, which is the easiest way of doing the install and the quickest. For example, if you were installing the software on a smallish server, then you would choose the simple install. For example, if you were doing the install as part of a trial, for instance. In this case, we're going to do the enterprise install. The software-only install, if you recall, we said will only copy over the required files. It doesn't actually create any of the instances that are needed for Oracle Business Intelligence to function. So software-only install is used in certain cases, certain advanced cases, and typically you would be doing an enterprise install. So I've chosen enterprise install as my install type, and it will do some prerequisite checks just to make sure that everything is in order on the machine that we are performing the install on. I'd like to create a new system, and I enter in the information that I'm prompted for. So the password that I've just given the system will be the password used for my overall Oracle BI administrator user. I'm keeping the default domain name of bifoundation_domain. And I'm now prompted for the location of my Oracle middleware home. So If you remember at the start, I said we already had the middleware home directory created and it was empty. So that needs to be the case. And I can browse for my middleware home directory, and then the Oracle Universal Installer will automatically populate the locations of the other parameters that are on the screen. Some of them are grayed out, so I can't edit those. Some of them, such as the domain home and the Oracle instance location, are not grayed out. So as part of certain installation types, I may wish to change the location of the domain home or the Oracle instance location. For the purposes of these installations, we can leave them as they are. The next screen allows me to choose which components I wish to install. In this case, I'll choose all of them. And next, I'm prompted to provide the connection information for the schemas that we created using the repository creation utility. Now, slightly different to the RCU, to the repository creation utility, the Oracle Universal Installer will make use of a connect string. And I'm going to enter that connect string now, and that will take the form of the host name, the port, and the service, each separated by a colon. And the schema username that we created was OU_BI platform. The next screen is for the MDS, and that's automatically been populated. Now you may have a different location for your MDS schema. For example, if you have a Fusion Applications installation, by default, both the BI platform schema and the MDS schema will be on the same database. So I can accept all the defaults here. Again, we've got the same password for our MDS schema as our BI platform schema. I'm going to choose auto port configuration for your particular installation. If you need to specify certain ports which Oracle BI will listen on, then you can do that from this screen using something called a static ports.ini file. I'm prompted to put in my email in case I want to receive updates from Oracle support. In this particular case, I'm going to say no and confirm that. And then finally, I'm provided with a summary of the locations where the software will be installed, along with the various components that will be configured as part of that installation. At this stage, if I click on the Save button, I can then save a response file, which I could then use and edit later on if I wish to perform a silent install, which is where you can install the Oracle BI software, but without going through the user interface that we're doing at the moment. So I'm now ready to perform that install, and I'm going to hit install. This screen will show us the installation progress. Typically the install will take around 40-45 minutes. It's a two-stage process where first of all the files that are required for the software are copied over onto the disk, locations that have been defined as part of this process we just went through. And then the second part is to actually configure and create the instances for Oracle Business Intelligence, in addition to the application WebLogic server components as well. So the installation proceeds with the configuration process. Here we can see that it's set to 39%. As I say, that'll take a while to do in real time, so we won't wait until the installation's gone to completion. But when it has, it will confirm that it's got to 100%, everything will have installed and configured correctly, and you can hit the Finish button that you can see at the bottom right hand side of the Oracle Universal Installer. Once you've hit Finish, it will automatically open up a browser window and prompt you to log in to Oracle Business Intelligence. So as we just saw, it's very easy to install Oracle Business Intelligence. Thank you for watching this stream, and be sure to check out the other topics within the Oracle Business Intelligence Lifecycle series.